So there really aren't any truly original ideas left in the world of perfumery, especially when it comes to the world of the designers. I mean, using the name of a very successful and iconic fragrance by the name of Angel and coming up with a brand new fragrance that has nothing to do with the original and calling it Angel Elixir is a pretty easy thing for the designers to do and a very easy trick to play on us, because we know Angel and we know how great it smells. But when you give us something called Angel and it's called Angel Elixir, we're kind of expecting something to be something intense and more, you know, in your face. Maybe taking the fragrance back to the way it was when it first launched. But when you put your nose on the new Mugler Angel Elixir, you'll notice that it's a complete different fragrance. So in today's video, I'm going to talk to you all things Angel Elixir from the house of Mugler, and also touch on the original Mugler Angel from 1992, so it's been 31 years, and also talk L'Oreal and the fragrances that are being released under this conglomerate. So if you're curious to learn about Mugler's Angel Elixir, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Yes, today we're talking about the latest release from Mugler. It's Angel Elixir. We now have two completely new flankers under the world of Angel. Angel Nova, which was a complete new fragrance created by Quentin Biche of Givaudan. And then now we've got Angel Elixir, which is a brand new fragrance once again. And it's created by Flippo and Domitille, Michalon, Bertier under IFF. So we started out the fragrance with the original created by Olivier Cresp under Firmenich. So I guess Mugler is going through all the different firms with the different perfumers. But yeah, this is the second and completely different flanker that's just launched under the Angel collection of fragrances. And once again, it's so different than the original that it really disappoints me. When I first saw the words Elixir next to the word Angel, I thought we're going to be taking, you know, into that place of something being very intoxicating and intense, maybe back to the, you know, the first days of when Angel was just launched, you know, back in the early 90s. But that's not where we're going today. But let me tell you the details of this fragrance. It's a 2023 launch. It is under L'Oreal now. Obviously, L'Oreal bought Mugler and Azzaro, which used to be under Clarins, and I really enjoyed the brand under Clarins. Really loved it, and they did do some really great fragrances, really great. Some of my favorite designer fragrances ever released by Mugler were under Clarins, but now we are under L'Oreal, which has trying to make Mugler what it used to be, but I don't think they're doing a great job with it, especially now that they've launched this Angel Elixir, which again smells nothing like the original. So this is a 2023 launch. 100 ml bottle is $185. The price is really high for this, so prices have gone way up. We're not getting an extrait de parfum here, we're getting an eau de parfum, so you're also not getting a very intense, you know, concentration with the fragrance. So almost $200 for a 100 ml designer fragrance, which is not part of a luxury collection. That's a little disappointing for me. Now the perfumers, as I said, are Flippo and Domitille Michalon Bertier, who are under IFF. The fragrance features notes of white floral bouquet, which has, you know, notes of orange blossom, Ylang-Ylang, jasmine. There's sandalwood here, there's amber extreme, there's bourbon vanilla infusion. So these are the notes. No patchouli. Get this, no patchouli in this fragrance when Angel is known for the frickin' patchouli, you know? This is the note that I actually really enjoy in this fragrance, and that's the note that leaves that massive trail, that intoxicating trail, that when you first smell somebody wearing it and you're, you know, they've been walking around you, or they've walked past you, or they were in an elevator and you caught a whiff of it, you walked down a hall following a woman that was wearing it, that's when you got very interested in the smell. This one doesn't do that whatsoever, absolutely not. So that's the first disappointing thing, because there's absolutely no patchouli here, not even a trace of it, and so that just totally disappoints me right off the bat. So the fragrance starts off with this blast of white flowers. There's definitely creaminess here. Really, really creamy, and I like this part. I think the fragrance itself is nice. I wouldn't say it's like I've never smelled it before, because for me, it starts smelling like every other designer fragrance for the ladies. So how many more white floral fragrances does Mugler need to do under their, you know, ladies fragrances? We've got Alien, which is all about Jasmine. Then we have Alien Goddess, which they're using the name once again and making a completely new fragrance. Again, white flowers. And here we have now Angel going to into the white flower direction as well. So let's hope that they don't do any more white flowers here for the ladies and give us something different. But yes, Angel has been turned into a white floral feminine fragrance. But the flowers are pretty, definitely pretty. There's probably expensive ingredients being used here. I definitely pick up the jasmine. I definitely pick up light traces of the orange blossom. And then the Ylang-Ylang is there as well. For me, there's definitely a milky creaminess here with the white flowers. And I think with the addition of the sandalwood in the notes as well, gives you that milky characteristic of these notes, because I do get a creamy milkiness from white flowers in general, which I like, and with the addition of the creamy sandalwood that's in here, you've got the double dosage of creaminess for sure. But you've got the Amber Xtreme in here for sure, which is a creation by IFF, I believe, because these perfumers are under IFF, so they use their own proprietary ingredients. And Amber Xtreme is basically like a synthetic amber, probably something like ambroxan or something like that, to kind of give you a prolonged life with the fragrance. And of course, tons of vanilla. It's bourbon vanilla infusion, they say, so it's definitely kind of creamy, syrupy, kind of vanillic for sure. So that's pretty much what I get with this particular fragrance. It's not necessarily anything groundbreaking, first of all, and again, it's nothing to do with the original Angel DNA, but for me, I feel like it's a fine fragrance, but it's already been there, done that. So when you go to the original Mugler Angel and you compare them side by side together, the Angel Elixir doesn't have that projection, and even though the Mugler Angel from 1992 has been really watered down, really butchered, a lot of the notes have been removed, it still kind of reminds you of the original. Not kind of, it definitely reminds you of the original, but it's not its original form. It's definitely a lot thinner, its robustness is gone, but you know, it reminds you of Angels, so for sure it's there. Still, with the original Mugler Angel, you're still going to get that really great trail sillage touch with the fragrance, and with the Mugler Angel Elixir, it's definitely completely removed. It's just stripped away. You get this like intensity when you first spray the fragrance, but it doesn't linger on too long. It also doesn't have that lingering power on skin, more it has the lingering power on clothes. So I think just the general concept of the fragrance is not about the trail anymore, which the original Angel was all about. It's not the kind of intoxicating, patchouli, earthy, gourmand, fruity fragrance that the original was. It's more about white flowers, kind of conventional, a little bit old school, but kind of a very modern take on, you know, white flowers for the women, kind of a fragrance, which to me is really boring actually. How many more white floral fragrances do we need? The thing is, I think I would have been happier if this particular fragrance was called something completely different, not called Angel whatsoever. It's called Angel Elixir, and when I expect an elixir after the name Angel, I'm expecting something more intense. Take Sauvage Elixir. Basically, there's 4 different variations of that fragrance, the EDT, EDP, Parfum, and Elixir. Every single fragrance is kind of like a graduation from the original. And again, here with this elixir, it's not that at all. That's the most disappointing part about this particular fragrance. I wanted an elixir of Angel, and I got a new fragrance, which I don't want. I don't want Angel Elixir because, you know, I smell it in a lot of other ladies' or feminine fragrances. It's all about white flowers and nothing else, with sweet notes and things like that. Sure, it'll satisfy people, for sure, it'll satisfy people, but if you're one of those true fans of the original Mugler Angel, you're not going to be satisfied with this. And again, I'm not saying there's anything bad with this fragrance, and I'm not going to blame the perfumers of this fragrance, because in the end, this fragrance probably went through so many focus groups, so many people, you know, were involved in the creation of it, and I think this is what really destroys the creativity and originality of perfumes when you're under a conglomerate and that's all they want is money, 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 money. I've worked in advertising so long. I've worked with producers and executives with music business and advertising for so long. I know when there's a lot of people involved and they're after money, it kind of basically makes the project really boring and stupid, and I think that's what's going on here. But I wouldn't say blame the perfumers, I'm saying blame the brand and its conglomerate owner, because they're basically, you know, mostly after the money, and perhaps they'll get it. I mean, Angel Elixir will find a lot of new fans. They'll probably turn up their nose against the original Angel, because most of the time maybe it's a bit more of an older demographic with the love and appreciation for something like Angel, and then of course with the new generation they'll probably really, you know, gravitate towards what this particular fragrance is. But again, it's nothing original. You'll find this kind of a DNA in a lot of other feminine fragrances. So if you already have a white floral bomb fragrance with vanillic sweet touches and of course kind of ambrox and amber thing happening in the base with some woods as well, which is basically the case with a lot of women's fragrances these days, especially under the conglomerates. And you will be disappointed if you already have something like that. But if you don't, and you're looking for something which is a white floral bomb with woods and some spices and things like that, I think this will satisfy. But for me, it unfortunately does not satisfy. I wish I got the elixir that I was looking for, and unfortunately Mugler's Angel Elixir is not delivered. But I want to hear from you guys if you're a fan of the elixir. I know there's fans and hate for the original, I'm sure. I think it's a little too screechy, the patchouli is maybe too intense, a little too hippy-dippy, maybe it's a little too gourmand, too sweet, too fruity. There's all of those things, but for me, man, I used to smell this fragrance everywhere, and because I smelled it so much off of the ladies, and when I first started smelling it, I've mentioned this so many times in my videos, I worked in a photo lab, and smelling photochemicals all day, and a lady comes in wearing this stuff, and at the time when it was really at its most potent in the, you know, mid to late 90s, I got hooked to that smell, you know, I got hooked to that smell. But this is such a boring fragrance, you know, it's not the kind of fragrance that it's gonna do that with. Just, I can visualize myself being in that lab 30 years ago and, you know, working on film and pictures and developing pictures and things like that, and somebody comes in with this, it does not have that effect that the original Angel did. So I don't know, I think people are going for more simple fragrances. It's not really an out there fragrance, it's just crowd pleasing. Is that what it is? And is Angel Elixir a crowd pleaser? You're not going to have a lot of noses turn. It's not going to be like creating any kind of not confusion, but the word is it's not going to cause any kind of an effect to people where they're really turned off of it because it's such dramatic notes. They're pleasant notes. It's creamy florals, woods, some spices, amber, and vanilla. What's wrong with those notes, right? It's simple, it's easy, and the ladies would love it. But if you're a fan of the original Angel, and especially going back in time with the original formula, the vintage formula, then you're definitely not going to be happy with Angel Elixir, the new flanker to the original Mugler Angel. So those are my thoughts on this particular fragrance. A little bit about L'Oreal as well. So L'Oreal has completely dumped men's fragrances. I don't know what the hell they're doing, but they've completely ignored us guys. Absolutely ignored us. So as a brand, the brand doesn't release any, like, they do make clothing for women, and I think it's all women's clothes. They've never really done any men's clothes to begin with, but they had a collection of men's fragrances, and I've been a fan since I've been a fan since when I first smelled the original Angel, but when I bought my first bottle of Amen, it was in 1997, so it's an iconic brand with great fragrances, but I think they've just totally ignored the guys. They've discontinued every single men's fragrance except for, you know, Alien series, but, you know, Amen is no longer selling publicly. It's only on the Mugler USA website. I don't know what they're going to do with the guys. I mean, if they're going to crank out stuff like this, I'm disappointed. Very, very disappointed. I'm not expecting anything more from Mugler. I think it's going to be all lackluster and mediocre offerings. I mean, even back in 1999 when the Mugler's Amen Ultimate came out, it was kind of at its last breath, I think. Even under the transitional phase of being with the Clarins group and into L'Oreal. I mean, they released some really boring fragrances. Amen Ultimate is definitely not the ultimate. I mean, the original Amen is even much better than Ultimate. Ultimate smells like every other designer fragrances, and that's what's going on with the designers these days. This smells like every other designer women's fragrance. Amen Ultimate smells like every other designer fragrance. So our nose is getting so worn out from smelling things in the world that you want familiarity with fragrances. What do you guys think about this particular scenario? Let me know. I mean, don't a lot of designer men's fragrances smell alike like they do? Like sometimes I like to highlight fragrances that are totally original, especially new launches that smell nothing like that's currently on the market, especially when I go to Macy's. And I try to avoid Macy's because every fragrance smells the same, and it just, the smell in the air is all the same walking through every single little section of the department where they have fragrances. But don't you guys feel like a lot of designer men's fragrances smell the same? Same DNA from one to the other, especially under L'Oreal, which is so weird because I can smell the same DNA under Valentino fragrances, under Armani fragrances, under YSL fragrances, under, you know, now Mugler, whatever other brands that are out there, they all smell similar. They might have some twists to it, but man, in the end, it's all the same fragrance. And I think that's what's going on with Mugler's Angel Elixir. It's now become like every other fragrance, which is very, very disappointing. And that's one of the reasons why I don't like to talk a lot about designer fragrances on the channel, because I've smelled it before and everybody else is talking about it. It's nothing really to talk about. So I wanted to talk about Mugler's Angel Elixir. It's because I am such a fan of the original. In fact, I was a fan of the brand itself, Thierry Mugler himself, and his vision for creating, you know, not only fashion but also the fragrances, because he was inspired by sci-fi and comics, and his bottles and, you know, advertising, even his fashion was all very inspired from this kind of a vision he had. So I've been a fan, but I'm so not a fan anymore, unfortunately. Anyway, those are my thoughts about, you know, Mugler Angel Elixir, the original Angel. Oh, one more thing I should say. I wonder why they decided to go with somebody completely new for this particular fragrance. Why did they decide to go with something? I think it's just because they're just wanting something completely new. But that's the most disappointing part. Why don't they change the name? Call it something completely different. Why call it Angel? Because it's not. It's not Angel. It is the very boring sister of Angel, I think. Anyway, those are my thoughts. That's all I can say today about Mugler's Angel Elixir. What are your thoughts on Mugler's Angel Elixir? Let me know if you've smelled it. Let me know if you haven't smelled it. Let me know if you want to smell it. Let me know if you like it. Let me know if you don't like it. Let me know if you're curious to smell it. I'd like to find out. And let me know what your thoughts are on men's fragrances. I'm so disappointed. What are they doing with the guys? Mugler, come on. Launch some of the EDPs I've been asking for. Pure Havane, Pure Malt, even an Amen original EDP. We want. Anyway, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.